Hello and welcome. Welcome to Around the Town with Mark. I am Mark Whalen, your host, and we are always glad to have you tune in and visit with us. As usual, we have another great show for you today. So, we've been waiting a long time, but the warm weather and summer are finally here. So, it's going to be time to start figuring out what you want to do for the summer, what kind of fun you want to have. We know that our area is full of great, fun things to see and to do. Well, this year, there's something very new and very exciting, and that is the Thames River water taxi. How great is that? That's going to be connecting New London and Groton sites and the Thames River Heritage Park. So today, we're going to teach you all there is to know about both of those things. Allow me to introduce my guests to you. I have Penny Parsekian, the chair of the Transition Communication Committee, and Chris Cox, chairman, Thames River Heritage Park Transition Team. Thank you and welcome both to Around the Town with Mark.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Mark. Penny, I'd like to start with you, please. Please tell us a little bit about the history and what we are celebrating with the water taxi this year.
Well, it's really, the water taxi is sort of the heart of the Thames River Heritage Park.
Okay.
And the park was something that the state and a number of leaders in the area were working on in the 80s and 90s, very hard. The state invested about $4.5 million in this park, installed floating docks, set everything in place to have a park that was sort of a boundless park. We have about 14 heritage sites within very easy access to one another, except the river was the barrier. So they envisioned a water taxi service that would connect the sites. If you stand at Fort Griswold and you say, see Fort Trumbull over there? Here's how you get there. If you try to describe how to get there to somebody in a car, it will take you a half an hour, and you'll have to give them written instructions. So the water taxi was a really critical component to get people to visit the historic sites in our region. And it's really much more than that, as you can imagine, because it's
Certainly.
an economic development tool as well, or framework. Well, anyway, so this was, the park was designated by the state in 1990. It was a big celebration and so forth. And then the project just stalled sometime in the late 1990s, I think it was. And I was not involved, but I knew about it, and I always found it, I loved the name of it. I loved the Heritage Park idea. So I was at that time, I was leading New London Main Street. Anyway, I left New London Main Street in 2012, and I was immediately asked to help a heritage site on the Groton side. They are funded by the Kopp family, the Avery Kopp House. And the Kopp family had gone through a change where the elder Kopps had passed on the responsibility for the house to the younger generation, and the younger generation asked the board, how are you going to increase visitation?
And we all know that the Avery Kopp House Museum is a beautiful, beautiful site, open to everyone that wants to visit with that. Let's just make clear, when we're talking about the Heritage Park, for our viewers, we're not talking about one particular small park. We're talking about something different than that. So, right. You know, people aren't looking on a map thinking, where is that one little park?
Right.
It's a number of different sites wrapped into one and calling it that Heritage Park.
Heritage Park. It encompasses both sides of the river.
Yep.
And all the heritage sites that are within walking distance, especially from the ferry landings. Mm-hmm. So anyway, what happened was they asked me to help them become more relevant to the community as a whole. And I had remembered this project, and I said, you know, that's really how to do it, is to get that project back on the table. I was familiar with Alan Plattis and the Yale Urban Design Workshop, and I thought if anybody can do it, they can. They got on board with us. They designed a new park plan based on modern approaches to parks. I mean, people may not realize this, but I think it's an important point to make, that parks all over the United States are now more and more being funded by philanthropy.
Oh, all right. I'm sure a lot of
It's
people aren't aware
really,
of that.
and it
Yes.
started sort of with the Conservancy in New York with the Central Park. That was the big breakthrough right there. That park was really in a derelict condition.
And so money is tight everywhere these days.
Everywhere.
And municipalities are cutting back on their funding and contributing to these. So I would imagine, yes, that, and very often, even if there is a fee, that fee is usually so low, it's not really going to cover much of anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Yale built into their plan was the formation of a foundation that would oversee the completion of the Heritage Park, oversee the development of the signage, the wayfinding, and all the things in the water taxi and all of the component parts, and get it done. And so the Yale finished their study last year, and a transition team was formed, and Chris is the chair of that transition team. We developed a memorandum of intent with the state of Connecticut. It was signed by the state of Connecticut, the 3 host municipalities, the city of Groton, the town of Groton, and the city of New London, and the Council of Governments, the regional Council of Governments. So everybody signed on that we are going to finish this park. And we formed a transition team, and now the transition team was the sort of it bridged the gap between the group at Avery Cop House that was working on the park and the new foundation.
Okay.
And so we're about to have the first meeting of the foundation on June 22nd.
Terrific.
So we're right now in a moment of transition.
And Chris, you are the transition team.
I am the chair.
The chair.
No, there are 20-something members, and it takes many people.
I'm sure it does. Well, please tell us a little bit about what you've been doing to make all of this happen for us.
Well, the transition team has been working basically to start the water taxi, because the water taxi is the vehicle, if you will, for the development of the park. And we think that we've got a very good operator, a pair of people from Voluntown, the Dietrichs, and she is the one who holds the license and will be the operator. We are hoping to launch in the very near future, this being Monday. Perhaps will be available on this Friday, but we don't know, so people should look at the website and make sure. But to begin this process of having people realize that they live in a very beautiful, remarkable place. And the DEEP, with their 2 wonderful existing state parks, Fort Trumbull and Fort Griswold Battlefield State Park, as well as the Nautilus Museum, which we hope to connect to when we can find the dollars to finish the dock up there. And then at the future site of the Coast Guard Museum, where we now will have, right in front of where they're going to build, we'll have a dock there. So the rotation of the water taxi will be from Fort Trumbull to downtown to Fort Griswold and back to Fort Trumbull. And that will be an hourly swing around the harbor. It doesn't take but 6 or 7 minutes to get across the river, but we will linger and allow people to board and reboard and so forth and visit the parks and the locations. And to me, and I've known New London pretty well many years, having lived in Mystic, but being around the water and the maritime scene for many years. I've known about New London, but I'm really getting to know Groton Bank, which is a beautiful place.
It's a very beautiful place.
And it's a wonderful
captain's
place to
homes,
live, and
library,
it's civilized,
church.
and it just doesn't have enough restaurants.
That's true.
I mean, or ice cream shops or things, because one of our interests, of course, is to give people a great experience when they're here. Not only the people who live here, and certainly the young people who live here, an awareness of where they live, but also the visitors to be accommodated and welcomed. But I'm certain that this will grow and evolve as the market defines itself. But we're very pleased to be where we are, and we're on the cusp of starting this effort that Penny and so many people have worked on for so long.
Well, certainly, as you mentioned, the area of Groton Bank and its lack there of some businesses that might attract people, but we know that there's been a big effort of recent years to develop and get Thames Street back up and running. We do have wonderful pulse pasta, everybody loves that, but what I'm hearing is that the water taxi is an opportunity for people to see these sites, but also the water taxi on its own is a site because it's an opportunity for people to get a boat ride, to be out on the river, and so that in itself is an attraction, I would think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I think it's fun to be on the water. I mean,
Everybody loves the
and
water.
a family. I mean, gee, children and the excitement and the perspective from the water and about where we live is very different than from the land.
Sure. So even if you don't want to visit these sites, just take the water taxi and have an hour-long ride.
No, it's a ride. It's
Yeah,
right,
it
is.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can visit these sites, but you can also board in Groton, take the ride over to New London and have some lunch, do some shopping, board, and then come right back over again and have that beautiful boat ride.
We found that people will use the water taxi for many different reasons when we did the demonstration project, because we conducted a survey afterwards and we asked people how they would use it and what they think of it and all of that. And we got great information. People will use it if they live in Groton Bank and they want to get a train, an Amtrak train, they're going to take the water taxi, rather than pay for parking in New London.
I know last September, I put together the Thames Street block party across from the Avery Cow Palace. And there was a trial run for the water taxi. And a lot of our visitors that came to the block party came from New London via the water taxi.
Right.
And Governor Malloy was there talking about it. And of course, I guess he took that ride.
He did.
And what we heard from people coming over was how much fun it was. And so many people, even some of my volunteers at the block party were saying, can I take an hour break? I want to take the water taxi. I want to take it for a ride. So it was hugely popular, just that one day that I was experiencing it.
No, it's true. People love getting out on the water. The photographs we have of people in that boat, they're just smiling and relaxing.
I
It's so
think we have a
nice.
photograph of the water taxi underway with those people in the boat smiling. And there we go. It's right up on our screen right now. So there you see it.
That was 2 years ago, wasn't it? The Seaport loaned their boat to the effort to do the trial, I think.
Okay.
And
all right.
and the boats that we have are very similar to those. The Willard 40-foot diesel launches, 671 diesel motors, are very, very strong, very safe.
I think we also have a picture of the real boat in the parade. So maybe we can get that up.
Yeah.
There we go. And so tell us a little bit about that. Obviously, it was in a parade. Was that and it's green, so tell me, it must be
Oh, that was
St. Patrick's Day, of course. So we are now looking at one of those boats, one of two, correct?
Yes.
That one's the one that's now named the MV Groton.
Okay.
And that was the Crocker's Boatyard has been a godsend to us and very, very welcome and a very good yard. And that young man, I think second, third generation Crocker there, drove the whole parade backwards.
My goodness
Very,
gracious.
very clever.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. And so tell us a little bit about those boats. I understand that they are Navy surplus, is that correct?
Yeah.
Great.
We paid $1 for each one.
No, $100.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, it was $100.
So that was a rumor, I heard.
Yeah, it wasn't $1, it was $100, but it wasn't very much.
Well, $100 to buy a boat or two boats is still a pretty good deal.
Yeah, they were, I think, what was the 240,000 a piece? I think that we were given
Really?
the price of them.
the
They're very
value?
expensive. Yeah, they're very valuable.
But
And
it
I
was-
take it you probably put some effort, I guess, into refurbishing them?
Well, getting them here was an adventure.
Okay.
From Virginia and then New Jersey and then here. But yes, they have been gone through completely mechanically. Some things changed, but it's, they're built to be safe. And they are, I think, going to be very effective because they're workhorses and they're not a lot of money to run. And I think that our expenses have been on budget or just under budget.
Excellent.
And I think that the ridership of, we think, of 4,000 people we're budgeting. And we think that will make our nut, as we say, for this first year. But we're learning as we go about the expenses, and boats are not inexpensive. But we've got a great boatyard and a good system, and we're just doing the best we can.
And tell us a little bit about the fare schedule for people. I guess there's different levels for adults and children. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's actually so complicated. I have to look at it, but you can get a season pass for the whole summer.
I think we have it, there we go, right on our screen, the
Yeah.
water taxi fares. And
So-
it's very, very reasonable.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
My
So we hope
goodness.
people use it. That's really the most important thing.
But
Well,
we
at that-
wanted,
at-
children under 3 free is great, and half price, $5 for 4 to 12-year-olds, and then a round trip $10 is as good a ride as you can get anywhere, I think.
Gosh.
And I think we want it to be as accessible to people as possible.
Well, with today's traffic and 95
Yeah.
and going over the bridge and the price of gas and everything else, to be able to take a beautiful boat ride for an hour and visit all these sites, cross the river, and visit the Groton side, see the Groton Monument, take the boat ride over to New London for that kind of a price, it's a real bargain.
Mark, I'm really surprised at how many people have said to me that they've never been on top of Fort Trumbull, or they've never been in the evening time at Fort Griswold Battlefield State Park, or they just haven't had the experience the way, and a boat ride, and this boat ride will set people up in a way that I think will be quite extraordinary, because it was 2004, wasn't it, that the Fort Trumbull was reopened to the public.
Right.
And before that, it was private and verboten and the Sound Labs. And the Groton Park, Battlefield State Park, has been a miracle for many people for many years around here.
Certainly has.
But it hasn't been in the way of people. It hasn't been a purposeful visit, except for the history buffs. The museum there on the Groton side is Henry Alves, the new superintendent, is really a good man. And before this had worked on the what is it called, the castle up Connecticut Riverway, that
Gillette's Castle?
Gillette Castle, and he was there before. And he did a wonderful job and made Christmas things happen and seasonal things happen. And I think that we want to look at that, even though this is a very tough time for the DEEP with the funding, Connecticut, for all of us. But he's creative and he's purposeful and he's very well intended. And I think that those parks are going to emerge in people's eyes in a way that they haven't seen them before.
Well,
And great for families and great for older people to visit and
certainly,
learn
like
from.
one example right there is if you take the taxi on the Groton side, a short walk, you're at the Revolutionary War battlefield of Fort Griswold,
Yep.
and with an easy walk, you can go to the beautiful historic Bill Memorial Library, right across the
Oh,
street.
the bill is a fabulous library.
As is the church, which is right
Yes,
there with
yes.
its Tiffany glass windows.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so again, take a ride, and within a short walk, you can spend an entire afternoon seeing some very beautiful things.
Yeah, and the history here is really interesting. It really is. And
It's
people
very
have done
diverse, very
yeah,
rich.
Yeah,
The Groton Bank story hasn't ever really been produced. It isn't put into themes or an event structure. It just is. And the remarkable stories that are defined by some of the people in the Colonel Ledyard Cemetery are extraordinary. Captain Spicer and the Inuits and Babington and all the things that happened on the water and the oceans and the Arctic. And it's all here in Groton Bank. I mean, this
is.
is what was civilized, and the farms were to the east towards Mystic. And but this was a commercial center, a privateer center of extraordinary proportions in the War of 1812, and huge business in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, sending horses and material to the Caribbean. And great histories to be explored.
And this is a great opportunity then also for the water taxi and the Heritage Park, not just to bring more attention to these places, but again, introducing them to all these people, and perhaps through that vehicle, that word will get out more, and that will start a momentum in the future for more development of a program to get the word out.
Exactly.
For both sides of the river.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
right. That's right. Because it's one harbor.
Exactly.
It's old Pequot
Yes.
Harbor, and it just different families and different size, but it was pretty much the same commercial setup.
Yeah, and well, originally before there was a bridge, there was a
ferry.
a
Yeah,
ferry
yeah,
boat.
yeah.
So this is sort of
Right.
a touchback on the
Right.
way life was many years ago.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about the schedule, so people have an idea of when it starts in the morning and how late it runs, if they want to be able to catch a lunch or a dinner on either side of the river.
Yeah, I want to make it clear that people can get off the boat and walk and spend hours and get back on, and their ticket is still good, their round trip ticket. They don't have to. So
it's not from point A to point B. They can get on,
Right.
off,
3 points.
spend the day, go
Right.
to any of those 3 points, get back on and
Right,
spend the
right.
whole day on the water in all these beautiful sites.
Exactly, and if they have the schedule with them, we're going to have this schedule is going to be in a plexi box at the landing, so they can take it with them. They'll know when they have to be on the dock to get the boat that they want to get back.
So it's up on our screen now for everyone to see, and I see it starts as early as 10 a.m. and runs until 8:40 in the evening. So certainly that gives an opportunity for people to start their day early, have lunch on one side of the river, have dinner on the other side of the river, and see all these wonderful parks in between.
Exactly.
And 20 minutes after the hour in New London and 40 minutes after the hour in Groton.
So that's...
Yeah, it's real simple. We wanted to keep it simple so everybody could get it. But it's very exciting when you talk about maybe more people will come because of this.
Yes.
That's really the purpose of all of this, is to get more people to come. And one of the things that happened early on is I got an email from Shoreline East, and they're trying to increase their non-commuter traffic on the railroad. So
Okay.
they see this park as being something that could help them bring people up here on the weekend.
So take a train from New York,
Exactly.
get off the train,
Yeah.
and within a short walk, you're on that water taxi,
Right.
and you're visiting historic sites.
Right. Leave your car behind.
Leave your car behind,
Right.
get the train, and just you have a completely full day of just total relaxation.
So marketing is going to be a big function that we're going to be
Yeah.
really. We already have 4 media sponsors. I mean, 3, I guess. Hall Radio, The Day, and Metrocast is. I'm sorry. What am I saying? Broadband, Atlantic Broadband.
Atlantic Broadband.
Is there a way that some of our viewers can contribute to this service? Perhaps is there a level of contribution that
There
that
is.
they can
I'm
hit?
so glad you asked. The first place, there's a charter membership that
Okay.
we're engaged in right now.
Listen about this, everybody. Charter membership.
Yeah, you can become a charter member for $200. It gets you free rides all summer and a party at the end of the summer. And we're going to be talking to the sites about ways to encourage people to go to their sites, like little coupons or discounts or something like that. And the charter members will get the advantage of that as well.
Wonderful. You've heard it, everyone. Charter membership for $200. You have an entire season to ride this water taxi and have a big party at the end.
Well, that charter membership is really for people who want to be partially philanthropic, because
Certainly.
the season pass is $50.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And
all
so,
right.
And so that is the real value.
Oh, all right.
And we're looking at how this can be a better and better effort. And one of the things, and I don't even know whether I'm speaking out of school or not, but there have been a lot of interest of people taking their bicycles on board. And it
Terrific.
seems like it's a doable idea. You know, it depends on how many people are there and so forth and safety. But, you know, the bicycles being what they are, they're very light and people are very, they want to go new places. And so to be able to go across the river and take your bike might be a great thing because
Is there an additional fee for the bike?
not yet.
Not at this point. Dogs, bikes, we've got to
Really?
we've got to work all this out.
So,
No, we want to make this as good for the people to use it as we possibly can.
well, it sounds like you're doing a good job making that happen.
Well, we don't know yet, but we
well,
want.
I just
Our
want
intentions are good.
I just want to make sure that I clarify that you don't have to spend $200.
Right.
No.
We'd love it if you did
Yes, yeah.
to become a philanthropic with the group, but for as little as $50,
Right.
you can ride all season
Right.
long.
The $200 is if you're going to help us support the foundation and the effort moving forward.
Right. And we encourage everyone, of course, to do support the foundation, give that little bit of extra money. But if you don't have it,
Yeah, that's
$50
okay,
for an
but-
entire
fine.
season,
No,
and I guess
but-
that runs into September. Is
Yes.
that correct?
And
Middle of September.
yeah, and maybe even October because it can be
Wonderful.
beautiful. But also, another part of this park business, not only the water taxi, but there are a number of really first-class libraries, museums, historic sites who are around us. And so a
Right.
lot of our work in the future is going to go to capacity building, history and culture projects so that every year there might be one or two things that we do that are new to build the fabric, to build the experience and to connect people
Wonderful.
more to where we live and how we live.
Wonderful. Well, Penny, Chris, I want to thank you for being my guest today and for talking about Thames River Heritage Park and the Thames River Water Taxi.
You're
Oh,
very
thank you, Mark.
welcome,
Thank you very
Mark.
much.
Thank you.
I want to encourage all of our viewers to put that on your schedule this year. Buy that season pass for $50. Become a member or charter member for $200. Support this wonderful, wonderful venture. And certainly, even for as little as $10, take that hour-long ride, have a visit on both sides of the river, just enjoy this great new feature that we have. I also want to mention that on July 16th, Art and Groton Bank, which you can also take the water taxi to, is an outdoor art festival from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So please also put that on your calendar. And if you are an artist or a crafter, please, we have space available for you and we'd love to hear from you. Go to our website, artandgrotonbank.org. We also have a juried submarine photo show and a student art exhibit. Now, Wednesday, this Wednesday the 15th, here at SEC TV Studios in Groton, is an open house art show from 5:30 to 7:30. There'll be refreshments. You'll be able to meet artists and see their beautiful work. So please put that on your schedule this Wednesday the 15th, 5:30 to 7:30. I want to thank you for tuning in to Around the Town with Mark. We're always glad to have you visit with us. Tune in again soon. We're going to have another great show. Thank you again to my wonderful guests. Thank you to our viewers. Have a wonderful summer. Ride that water taxi, and we'll see you here on Around the Town with Mark very soon. Thank you and goodbye.